Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to these videos on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the Sita One. You can find daily posts of the tarot cards on Instagram and Sita's weekly tarot forecast on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at the Sita One. My name is Sita. I'm an intuitive astrologer and psychic tarot reader, and I'm here to share with you the upcoming energies. Okay, this is a pretty pivotal week. We have an eclipse on Tuesday, and it's one that's joined by a few planets that makes it even more intense. So when there's an eclipse, there's the sun opposite moon like a full moon, but it's an eclipse energy and it tends to magnify everything. Normally a full moon is intensifying emotions and exaggerating them perhaps, and you see things that are unusual or experience unusual things. With an eclipse, this is amplified. And also, the eclipse is quite near some very pivotal and important planets. So we have Uranus, which is still close enough to the nodes, and well, the nodes would be involved because it is an eclipse. So Uranus and Taurus has led us into some really volatile times, shaking up our security and trying to pave a new ground for us to determine or manifest what we want in our life, but in a different way, a way that brings more freedom. And Saturn has been challenging that by asking us to come up with a plan, be responsible, especially in Aquarius, be responsible to others. So we have the sun in Scorpio and the moon joining Uranus, so that makes it really volatile. And sun will be close to Mercury in Scorpio, so the investigative mind. Mercury is now moving into the depths of the underworld to get messages, and he's the only planet that can go close to Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. To talk to him, other planets can't. So this is important. So think about that investigative part of yourself. The sun in Scorpio is joined by the South Node in Scorpio and Venus in Scorpio. Now Venus is not particularly comfortable in Scorpio, but she has a lot of intensity. Watch it in relationships. She could trigger jealousy, resentment, maybe not seeing things, or maybe she's exaggerating the way things are between you and your other relationships, and so this jealousy appears. So you have to watch that. But it's also, because of all the Scorpio, asking you to dig deeper. What are your needs? What are your blocks? What are you fearing? And get into that area and work that out. Bring it to the surface and look at it. It's an area of life that we don't want to look at. We don't want to face our fears, of course. We're uncomfortable. But this uncomfortableness is what's going to move us forward. Now, the astrologers have been talking about this eclipse, that it's a really pivotal and important time, and it's true. And what do you do with this? You really focus on your emotions. Scorpio has that laser-like focus, so pay attention. Don't be afraid to step into uncomfortable situations as long as you're safe, and deal with them. Deal with how you are feeling about those situations, and plan to release some emotional baggage that no longer serve you, or you can't put more energy into because it's really draining you and keeping you from moving forward. So there will be endings with this, but I also see it as a time that you clear the way for new beginnings, and then the next new moon cycle will bring you to a place where you can plan, especially it's in futuristic Sagittarius. It's a much freer energy. So when Uranus and the sun oppose each other, it's an issue of volatility. So times will be up and down, and you may feel that too. And it's not just the day of the eclipse. It's been moving in for some time now. You can see it if you've been watching the news or looking around you. You'll see it with the unusual weather. That's all part of it, and it's going to keep going for 6 months. So just pay attention to what's been going on in the last couple of weeks, and then you can make a plan of how you're going to deal with things emotionally for the next little while. By Friday, the sun is going to square Saturn. So this is another pivotal point where your needs, your wants, your desires may not fit in with Saturn. Saturn wants you to be responsible, and it can dim the light of the sun by saying, oh no, there has to be a plan, there has to be boundaries, there has to be restrictions, there has to be rules. And Saturn's been playing that game for a long time. It's squared Uranus many times, and it's moving out of that right now, but we're still feeling the effects, and we're going to feel the effects for a long time. This is another movement that started in the 60s with the disappearing social structures and restructuring them, and it's just continuing. So we're in that important era. How do we handle it? By being positive, by taking care of others, by not exaggerating circumstances and letting go of the old ways of comfort and security. That's the best advice I can give. So when you're feeling really stressed out, or you feel a lot of fear because you think something horrible is going to happen, well, for one thing, it's not going to happen on eclipse day, but you probably will see the results of whatever you work on by January to March. Mars is still in the retrograde position and is going to be until next year. So Mars is about communication and how you communicate with others, and the aggression and anger behind that. So if you've been venting, it's time to look at that and see where that anger comes from and deal with those situations, heal them. So it's a long retrograde period. It's really going to affect Geminis and Pisces more than other signs. Depends on where it falls in your chart to see the theme. If you know your chart, you can look at it. And I would start working with that communication and be more diplomatic. So I think it's trying to lead us all to being more diplomatic and disseminating our information with an eagle eye. I think the Scorpio energy is about that. So relax and try to work with the energy. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my videos on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the Sita One. You can find daily posts of the tarot cards on Instagram and Sita's weekly tarot readings on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Sita One. Remember to take deep breaths, to go into that place of presence, to understand that any challenge is there to allow you to grow spiritually. Remember, you're here to experience, and the human body is just a construct and a way for you to experience a spiritual life. Remember to take care of yourself and others, and I will see you next time.